Okay, so my question is, as someone who has a real need for love and belonging, but feels that's inhibited due to fear and anxiety, how do I take steps toward growth so that I can experience the love and belonging that I so desperately need? So, a bit of my background.
Okay, can
There's
I
two.
can I can I hold on before you go into your
Yep,
background? I just want to tell you something.
yep,
I have
yeah.
such I have such great hope for your ability to do that because of diagnostically the way you formulated your question.
Hmm.
You contextualized and owned that you have a need. You realize there's a context to that. You realize you have a block in it. There's a lot of self-awareness here, and there's also the ability to express that in a relationship to me. Okay. And you also have some other things, and I won't go into all that, but as I'm listening to you, you have other capacities that are going to make this doable for you if you find the right
Hmm.
context. So I want to tell you that from the beginning. So give me why you asked the question.
Awesome. Well, two, I would say formative events in my life that I think really have too much power over me and are really robbing me of the full life God has for me. Is one, I grew up in a Bible-based cult until I was 10.
Oh,
And the second, yep, sorry.
no, I just said I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
A cult is not a good place to grow up.
no. And then second, I had a very overwhelmed mother. And so she had 5 kids in 7 years. And I don't think she like physically abused me, but I think I experienced it as abuse because she never had control over her temper. Like I was terrified of her.
Yeah.
Um, so from those two, like growing up, I didn't experience a ton of healthy relationships, and I always felt like I couldn't get anything right. And I think that very much followed me kind of into my life where I live this like I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like I'm really afraid to commit. I'm really afraid to let people in. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I cling,
Where
you
have
know.
you tried where have you tried and failed? Where have you tried and not worked out well?
Uh, well, I mean, at the beginning of not really knowing much about myself, I've done therapy for the last 3 years now. So it's
With one therapist?
with a psychologist.
With one?
With a psychologist. I've been working
With
through
one
called
or
Child
several
Care.
there? With one or several?
Oh, with one. Sorry, with
With
one.
one. So you've
Yeah,
had the same
with one.
therapist for 3 years.
For, yeah, yeah, um,
That's
yeah,
awesome. If I mean if it's going well, that's awesome. Is it going
yeah.
well?
It is. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. So give me the question. Give me the question.
So
I think I
basically,
get the background.
um, yeah, in more of just I am really sick of being alone. I feel like all my life, when I was young, I was alone. Like I was surrounded
Right.
by people, but I was alone. And now
Right.
in my life, whew, I don't mean to cry. I'm trying not to cry. Um,
No, that's
no,
why I said there's
still
great hope for
surrounded
you.
by people. I live on my own. I don't have any family near me, so that's a
Right.
huge part. But also, I just feel like there's like this something in me that doesn't let me allow
Sure.
people. Like I feel so lonely all the time,
Even when you're with
and I
people.
just don't know why.
Okay.
Not always when
Let
I'm
let
with
me
people, but it's just like it's not enough. Like
what's
I can
what's
spend
not
three
enough?
hours with someone. It just doesn't feel like enough. Like I come home and I'm still lonely.
Well, that the it is not enough because whatever has happened, it feels like in that 3 hours, you're saying that in the 3 hours, the loneliness doesn't get touched. Is that right?
Yeah, like I just feel like I'm always going to be alone.
Right. Like nothing's ever going to be able to kind of get past that wall.
Yeah, and like I'm single and I've desired to be married since I was really young. But
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the answer because I know that's not
That's
not
not the answer.
transparent.
That's the result, but that won't be the answer.
Yeah, and I think it'll help. Like, I
let
think
me give
no
you
one's meant to be alone as
I'm
much
sorry
as
to
I am.
interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's
Yeah,
truly because of the time. I'd love to talk to you,
yeah, no worries.
extensively
Yeah,
about this, but I'm going to answer your question in the
okay.
most technical way because I want you to get this part in your head. This is so important what you're saying. When I don't know if you heard the beginning of the program, but where I was talking about the capacity of one person to be in this in what's called the bipersonal field, two people in this moment together, the capacity of one person to be a bridge to the other person's understanding and feeling and grasping and owning everything that's inside of them and then expressing those in the relationship to where the other person understands. That's the loop that I was talking about. Okay. Now
Mm-hmm.
here's what you're describing. You grew up with a lot of feelings going on inside of you. That's what it meant to be a person, Rebecca. Your
Mm-hmm.
mother's overwhelmed. She's chaotic. She's trying to manage all these kids, shut them down. Don't be upset. Whatever it is, we know it's 5 kids around you. Sounds like she didn't have the total ability to enter into each kid's world at any moment and
Mm-hmm.
help you feel what you were feeling. But not only that, to help you feel it not alone, but with someone.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
once that happens, and you start to express that feeling and it goes over the hump with the person that you're with, that connection begins to, it's sort of like a loop and it goes back inside you and you feel this, oh yeah, you understand. Oh,
Hmm.
you get it. You understand me.
Hmm.
Okay, now right now in this moment, when you say, do you get a little smidgen of feeling that I understand what you're talking about?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel alone at this second?
Mm, like I am alone, but
You are, but didn't you, before I asked that, didn't you kind of feel in the moment, sort of like with me?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's what
Like
I
somebody
want you.
understood what's going on
Yes.
inside of me.
What's that?
Yeah. Like somebody understood what's going on inside of me. Yes.
Yes. And that's the opposite of aloneness. Now, you can be
Yeah.
with people, and this is what keeps happening. And this is why part of why I think you can be with people and be alone. I want you to, I hope it's happening with your therapist, but I want you to find, this is hard to do kind of at Denny's or, IHOPs or just on the
Mm-hmm.
road or walking up in a gathering in church. At this level, I would want you to find a few other contexts where, and it may be with a friend, with, have a new prayer partner or something. Can we get together every now and then? I need somebody just uh, where we can process life for an hour together and understand and not be
Mm-hmm.
alone in it. And then begin to express when you're with them, say, I just had, and exactly like you've done with me. And that could be a structured group. It could be something like Celebrate Recovery. It could be a therapy group. It could be a friend. You go through maybe a workbook together. Get my book Changes That Heal and go through the workbook questions with
Mm-hmm.
somebody. But somewhere where you're processing your internal world from the vulnerable side of the fence, not just what's going on about the weather, but like you did with me. And you keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again, and you're going to see a big, big, I believe, shift
Mm-hmm.
from aloneness to connected.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want you to try to do.
So I feel like I feel like I am. I feel like that's something I do, but I fear so much like that I'm gonna lose friends because it's then becomes all about me. Like
Right, but stop.
Example,
Hold on, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Okay. I want you to say that because that's a vulnerable statement. I want you to say to your friend, I was talking about my life, and you know what? Sometimes I get afraid that I'm going to lose you as a friend because it seems like I talk about myself all the time. Do you feel like I do that? Is that, see how
Mhm.
vulnerable that is? See, that's going to a different
Yeah.
level. So that's a
Yeah.
level of vulnerability. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. Okay, unfortunately, I've got to go to some other
That's a
callers,
good
but
point.
I'm glad
Thank
you called. I want you to talk to your psychologist about what they feel like. Do they feel like, does he feel like that you are truly real and vulnerable and you're building that level of trust, and get some feedback about that and ask him, um, what do you know my life? What do you think some contexts are that I could go begin to do this in? And I think that when we have those transformational moments, that's what's helping. So, Rebecca, thank you for your call. Hope that continues to go forward with you. Transformational moments is a word that I like to use a lot because that's what builds a human. Now, what do I mean by a transformational moment? A transformational moment is a moment where you have a feeling state or a state of existence, fear, anxiety, need, loneliness, confusion, lack of clarity, hopelessness, whatever those feelings are, and we express them in a relationship where someone understands them, similar to what I was talking about earlier today. And when we express them, and that mentalization, for lack of a better word, happens, and now we were confused, now I have a little hope, or now have a little clarity, or I was discouraged, now I got a little courage. I was alone, like she said, well, now I'm not feeling alone. See, that's a transformational moment, and it only comes through vulnerability and connection, but it sticks in our heads and becomes neurological equipment. Very, very important concept.